I'm just going to wing it now. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Equine Touch studio, currently here in the UK, but we're going to be visiting people around the world in due course. We have joined today with Lynn, who's going to introduce herself a little bit later on, and Kathy. So it's not just me, luckily for you, and we're here to kick off our celebrations for 25 years of the Equine Touch modality. And we chose this day for our new initiative. It's JOCK's birthday. And I checked this morning, I believe he's going to be 80. He would have been 80 years old. And he's our founder. And we're here to honour his legacy, Equine Touch, which has enabled us to create a better future for our horses and ourselves. So I'm sure that all of you who are joining us here and who have learned ET, it will be interesting to see some of our faces. You might not have met us before. And for those who know nothing about ET, we're going to be giving you a little bit of an idea of what it's like and then what we're going to be doing for our Jubilee celebrations. So as we settle in, please do let us know in the comments where you're joining us from. I know we've had interest from Australia and hopefully New Zealand, but certainly America, Denmark, Czech Republic, Germany. If I haven't mentioned you, Holland, who else can we think of? France, so and of course Scotland, but you're still part of the world. So yes, and we're going to be hearing from our instructors in those countries as well. So although we're talking English now, there might be a bit of an international flavour in the future. So sadly, JOCK left us in 2011, but he remains very much in our hearts. And we're making the most of this milestone to bring us all together. Hugely grateful to JOCK for the modality of Equine Touch, and we'll be hearing later on what it means to us. So my name, just it says so on the screen there, I'm Chris Wiley, Equine Touch instructor in the UK, covering the north of England and Scotland. And I very much like Scotland, a bit of a spiritual home for me in my ancestry, but of course JOCK came from Scotland, was born in Forfar, and Equine Touch actually started in Aberdeenshire. So that's going to be covered in a future talk, and it's a really interesting story where how Equine Touch evolved. So I'm joined here by Lynn and Kathy. So Lynn, do you just want to let us know a little bit about yourself?
Yep, I'm Lynn. I am the senior instructor and team leader for UK and Europe instructors. I was the first person to bring Equine Touch to England.
Thank you.
And we had an amazing clinic. When JOCK and Ivana actually arrived, they'd been teaching in Africa first. And it was really quite crazy. The flight was late and I was almost an instructor before I was a student. But that was, it was quite a memorable day at the time.
That's fantastic. And we're going to be meeting with Penny in Zimbabwe. So I've been in contact with her this morning, and we're going to have a future chat with her, which is going to be very exciting. Kathy, what are your role here today? Obviously, you're a lovely person, but let's see what you're here to tell us.
Right, hello everybody. Yes, Kathy Smith. I'm an Equine Touch practitioner based high up on Dartmoor in Devon. And my role today, though, is I actually have an additional role to being a practitioner, that I try and manage and look after our area coordinators. And more coming up later on that as we explain some of the exciting events we've got running through our Jubilee year. So that's me, really.
Yeah, and the area coordinators are part of the IETA, aren't they?
Yes, yes, I believe so. Yes, our little team of area coordinators, and basically we're a local support team. Yeah, informal gatherings. So yeah,
brilliant, brilliant.
And
sorry,
a good team we are as well.
Absolutely, I'm sure. Yes, you are. You are. Now we're going to be here for around about 30 minutes. And we're going to let you know how you can get involved in the celebrations here. And also we're looking to bring the gift of Equine Touch to a wider audience. So that's why we've started this initiative. And this is our inaugural broadcast. So I'd just like to go forward to, we're going to do a little bit now about ET, aren't we, Lynn? A little bit looking at just what ET is we've got a slide just to have a look at the definition for those who don't know anything about ET, but we do then move into a video montage of me instructing last weekend in Scotland. We're at a lovely venue. Thank you, Jane. Lovely students, and Audrey, who was our lovely filmer. So whilst it's me instructing and you won't hear me actually talking, which is probably to your benefit, I'm sure that those people who know ET and know what they should be looking at will be critiquing me in their own homes in their own way, and hopefully not finding too much wrong with my technique, Lynn, seeing as you taught me originally.
It better be good then.
It better be good, absolutely. Right, so let's start with that, and away with you, Lynn. Off you go. Hopefully it won't go forward, so I have to stop it. Yeah, that's great.
This is the official definition of the equine touch.
Sorry,
and it is. Oh, had a moment.
Stop. It wouldn't be live if it wasn't having a tech issue. There you go.
Well, I think you're amazing. I couldn't have stopped it at all. This is the official definition. What it really means is that it is a hands-on system of bodywork. It's a basic body balance address to the whole body. It's very holistic in the fact that it's gentle, it's non-invasive, and we spend quite a lot of time connecting to the horse. We always consider it to be a gift to the horse. The move itself is quite unique in any form of body work. It's actually got 3 parts to it. We're working on the fixed and insert points of muscle into tendon and bone and the belly of the muscle. So we're encouraging the body to rebalance itself completely. Horses love it, encouraging them to relax and reduce the pain.
Absolutely. And I found when I started learning ET, it really helped me to connect with that the quietness in myself. Obviously, you can tell I'm a little bit adrenaline fueled at the moment. So it really helped me to learn how to bring myself down. Because I remember when you would come and teach in Northumberland when I first started, Lynn, and I'd come back from my primary job and I used to have to sit there and stare at the wall for a day because the horses weren't interested in speaking to me at all because I had such a high energy. So it's really helpful how it helps you to learn to manage your own energy and everything as well.
Well, it might have been 21 years ago, but I do remember first meeting you. And the journey, because you were driving me, and the millions of questions that were really totally irrelevant. You put your hands on the horse and you listen.
I know. I think my main question to you was, will it be enough? That was the thing I sort of said, wasn't it? Is this going to be enough? Because I tried to investigate doing, oh, actually, that doesn't really work. I'll change this to this screen. I tried, I sort of wanted to do something for my horses and something to maybe make a change in direction in my 40s. And I didn't know what I was looking for. And I'd looked at massage. I'd looked at a couple of other modalities. I'd even considered doing osteopathy, which meant going away for 5 years and training, and money concerns weren't going to help with that. And by chance, I came across a leaflet about equine touch. And the girl had just been on a 3-day foundation course with yourself, actually. And she said, oh, I'll show you what it is. And I thought to myself, well, what can you do after 3 days? And so she worked on my ponies, and my old boy was very arthritic. And obviously I'd been doing massage with him, but that was getting a little bit too much. And he next day, he cantered down the field full of the joys of life. And I thought, wow, something's happened for him there. And my riding horse, I could feel a difference. And I was like straight on the internet, much as I didn't know much about the internet in those days, and signed up for a course. And yes, you came up and we drove to Scotland together, and we even shared a bedroom. And I know I would have been the student from hell.
You probably still are, Chris.
I remember with JOCK, I used to, when he was teaching, everybody else would be standing behind him watching what he was doing. And I'd be right round the other side of the horse in his line of sight like this, watching, what are you doing? What are you doing? Trying to absorb as much as I possibly could of what he was offering. So yes, I'm very pleased to have, that was 2005 I started learning. So I'm very pleased now to still be instructing and obviously helping to promote the equine touch modality. So Kathy, you know, we were wondering about why learn ET, but you know, what brought you to ET?
Well, probably about 14 years ago now, I was on a Kelly Marks course. I took my horse Taz there. and they asked me whether he could be the Equine Touch demo horse. I'd never heard of Equine Touch, so I'm like, yeah, I'm sure she'll be fine. So it was quite remarkable, because you think you know your horse. The reaction to the most gentlest of moves were quite astounding. He did not like being touched all down his right side. Wow. I had no idea that this was going to happen. And like you, I was just hooked. I needed to know more. Yes. And signed up on my foundation course, and literally has changed me from the happy hacker I was, just be on a journey just to learn and help other horses. So that was what happened to me. Yeah. See, that's something in my horse I'd never seen before.
Yeah, and fantastic.
And he's still bucking and cantering around the field. And he's a thoroughbred, so hey, that's good.
Yes, that is good. That is good. And I remember when I first met you, you were helping Dartmoor ponies that had never been handled. So that's an interesting thing.
So if you'd have said 15 years ago I'd be going near feral horses, ponies, I'd have been telling you, that's never going to happen. I'm usually the first pair of hands that these ponies have come into contact with. Wow. And strangely, whereas Taz, thoroughbred, a lot of horses like that, sensitive, need a gentle touch, the Dartmoors have told me so much about going in mainly on the left side, from the rear, and with a slightly heavier hand, which is, again, it's just everything presents so differently. But quite an experience.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. And Lynn, when we talked about with the definition there, a whole horse address, you can see I'm working the 4 quarters now. So it's very important that we cover, when we talk about holistic, we're looking at the whole animal. We're not just focusing on one particular area, are we?
No, and it's also very important that we consider working one side and the other. And you would always address the whole body, which gives you the clues as to where there might be issues, which you can then further address. I think that's the beauty of Equine Touch. It's a very simple, small stepped program. You don't have to have a lot of anatomy or physiology knowledge to learn this. We all know where the bony landmarks of the horse are, and you can just work with the bony landmarks and, the soft tissue, this bit to this bit, and join it up and make the move here. And it's really very easy to learn.
Yes. And I think that's the important thing, that we're not necessarily having to, I'm just going to pause this a sec, but that we're working the whole horse, but it's not like we need to worry about what we're thinking about it necessarily, because we're getting the feedback from the horse as to where it's uncomfortable or where it would like us to work and that sort of thing. So it's very much that loop to be able to work with the horse and find out where they need us, because being a prey animal, you can't go in with that sort of energy of I'm going to fix you, because they're just going to start getting worried and move away.
And the question is, does it work? Well, a horse has got no preconceptions. What you see is what you get, and there's no such thing as placebo. And we've seen some of the reactions that you were getting there when you weren't even concentrating on giving a session, you were actually teaching. But the horse was still giving you indications that he was taking it on board and processing whatever you were doing.
Yeah, and for some of them, some of the horses there were processing, and I wasn't even working on them. They hadn't even had any ET as such, but they were part of that group. So as the horse herd, sometimes we found, one of the horses that's too traumatized can't accept ET, but you can work on one next door to it, and it receives the benefit of that. So it's just fantastic how it all those things sort of come out of it without necessarily knowing what's going on, as you say. I'll just put this, we can just follow through to the end of this. So we're just finishing the body balance here and with the mid-back area, Lynn, and this is very good for before and after riding, isn't it? Are you going to move?
Oh, well, yes. It should be something that you would do once you've learned. It would be something you would do before you even consider putting a saddle on the horse. It isn't an excuse not to have your saddle checked, because of course, obviously it's great relevance, but you can mitigate any pressure or discomfort that the horse might have. And again, after riding, just in case there's any tension, none of us sit level, which is actually quite interesting, which is where our human modality comes in. And a lot of our people who haven't got no intention of learning human stuff come to a horse course, realize that 50% of the horse's problem is the rider, and they come back and learn the human element, which is equally as effective. Equally as effective.
Absolutely. And the saddle, you know, the best fitting saddle in the world, if you've got an unbalanced horse underneath it or an unbalanced rider, you're going to end up with pressure points. And I think that's the thing that we're not saying that we are, you know, these knees, the end of everything. You know, we work with other professionals in you know, working around the whole things that might be affecting the horse. And it sometimes gives you that little bit of understanding or potential knowledge of, well, maybe if I'm working around the abdomen and there's sensitivity there, maybe this is the guts. I need to get the vet. You know, if I'm doing stuff and the balance keeps shifting or it's not changing sufficiently, maybe there's something in the feet. If the jaw, they're uncomfortable with their mouth all the time, maybe this is the dentist. So it gives you, as an owner, it empowers you to have a little bit more understanding of where you might want to go next. Because we all worry about our horses, don't we, Kathy?
Absolutely. And yes, completely agree. It gives you that sort of insight as to see where you might then want to, yes, as you say, do the saddle check or, whatever it is. There's many aspects.
Yeah, because and when we're working, I'm teaching here the foundation layer, but we're going to be going on to another broadcast with you, Lynn, talking more about the modular approach to the way we teach. And we have to start with the outer layer of muscles, because if they're still compromised, we've got to wait until they're softened before we can go deeper. So it's very much, this is the foundation work, and we work on a less is best approach. We're doing what's best for the animal. And I know you told me that you did 2 moves on a horse once and it just lay down. And that was that.
That's true. That's true. There's so many reasons that a horse will react in a different way, which is one of the things, if you do a regular session on your own horse, you can pick up as soon as there's something that's changed, whether that's something emotional or whether it's actually physical problem. It all shows up. It will show up. It's a way of judging the health of your horse.
Yes. And when we say emotional, I mean, sometimes I've been to horses that, you know, maybe they don't get on with the horse in the next door stable and they're feeling, you know, they're pinned against the wall or they're being bullied in the field. You know, there's so many things that come in. And I know that, you know, when we speak to Penny, I know that she did one horse that had a huge traumatic incident. You can imagine out there, I've been out in Africa doing horse rides on a horse that had been attacked by a lion. You know, it had the scars down its rump to prove it. And whenever you went into long grass, it was like, like that. But it was the fastest pony. So I did feel slightly so I'd be able to get away. Oh, dear. So that's just a little bit. And this is Star, who was an absolute star. And you can see at the end how his stance has improved and he's just nice and calm. And sometimes the best thing is you go to your horse with offering ET on that day, and you're not going in with the tack, with making it go round, making your horse go round and round in circles, and they just love you for it, that you're bringing something different to the table, because they give us so much. So let's move on a little bit. Just move this one out. Oh, mine's thing's been a bit slow today. Remove. No. Oh, I'm sorry. Right. So we're just going to talk a little bit about the sort of talks we're going to be doing. Just got to go back here to the first slide. And this is JOCK, our founder. So we're going to be talking about him more in the future and hopefully connecting with Ivana in New Zealand, who was his wife. And I'm just having a look in my Hero to Zero to Hero book, in the horse's eyes, and really interesting, his life. And you can see here, he was a professional wrestler for 30 years. So an unlikely start for someone who became an innovative body worker and who gave us Equine Touch by accident, really, when he was asked to work on a horse in Aberdeenshire, wasn't he, Lynn?
Yes, he was a human practitioner before he evolved Equine Touch. And I remember the story that he told about his client asked him to go and see her horse, and he went out of interest, didn't know anything at all about horses. He just knew the front end bit and the back end pooped, and that was about it, really. And he went in and worked on her horse, and she said, "Oh, he really likes that. I'll go and get some money for you to pay you." And off she went. In the meanwhile, he's wandering around the stable yard and looks at the horse looking a bit miserable in the stable in the corner. Thought, "Oh, well, that horse liked it. Let's go in here and see what happens." And he went in, touched a horse. It went, "Oh," you know, one of these reactions that you often do get just by touching the withers. He thought, "Oh dear, better get out of here." Was stepping out of the stable, shutting the door, when the lady came back and said, "I don't think you'd better go in there. That's a stallion, and he's really quite touchy on his withers." And of course, this is where Jock had actually touched him. So the first impression that he realized was about having integrity and intent. He'd gone in there wishing to help that horse with no other agenda. And because he did that, there was no attack. So that was, as I understand it, was the first horse, or that's one of his stories anyway.
Yes, yes. Well, yes, and because in his wrestling days, he was all around the world. Very briefly, a policeman in the Met, a policeman in New Zealand, and then he got interested in wrestling, and then became a professional wrestler in Hawaii. And through that career of 30 years, he met loads of people, you know, in Japanese, and was sort of came into contact with lots of different ideas about how to work with the body, and very much in that sort of the ethos was, if you hurt me, you've got to fix me. So I think all the wrestlers, you know, would be doing that for each other. So yeah, that's going to be one of our things. We're going to visit a bit more about Jock's life. And then he met Ivana, didn't he? And that was when he was teaching vets in Czech Republic, wasn't he? When he first went out with, I don't think very much of an ET manual, did he, Lynn?
No, I believe initially he was asked to work on the racehorse Sipasek, which is really quite an interesting situation that we have in Czech Republic, because Veronica, our instructor out there, is currently working on the yard where Sipasek lived. And in fact, the current owner of the yard, it was his father that owned the horse. And that was when he realized it was so powerful. And I think it was a suggestion from that vets ought to be taught. And he went away, produced a manual, produced the first clinic. At that point, Ivana was teaching anatomy at the university, and they sort of connected. And the rest, they say, is history. She is an amazing anatomist. She is constantly doing dissections, etc., for our learning now. And we always laugh and say that Ivana put the meat on the bones of Jock's work, because he was just an amazing body worker instinctively. But, you know, this is why equine touch is so easy to learn. You don't have to know anatomy. But, of course, Ivana adds the sense to it and makes our manuals very, very detailed.
Yes, yes. And very much robust approach to her work. And she's still doing that today. You know, she's written a number of other books about anatomy. In fact, I don't know if she's left New Zealand, but she's in transit back to Czech, and she's doing a whole horse dissection somewhere in the world. Not sure where. I remember going to the first one, and extraordinary seeing her, you know, standing over this horse with one little, you know, one of those little scalpels, and what she was achieving, and her enthusiasm was just fantastic. And you all just get drawn in, totally drawn in with what she's coming out with. Have you been to one of the dissections, Kathy?
No, I haven't. It's on my to-do list. So
yes, yeah. Well, now hopefully we'll be able to get more in the future coming back.
Yes,
it makes so much sense of what you're feeling on the horse, what you're feeling under your hands.
100%.
You can do a section, yes.
Yes, and then this is the side. This is how it then became. I think the vets were the ones that suggested to teach actually horse owners, Lynn, wasn't it? And so we started, they started developing teaching courses for horse owners. And that's really where it all began for us anyway.
That's right, yes. It was mainly started in America. They had a connection with the Natural Horse magazine. And in fact, that was how I got to speak with them in the first place, because at that time I was writing equine aromatherapy articles for Natural Horse magazine. And it was the editor that introduced me, who was American, of course, to Jock the Scot. So this is how we got them back to England for the first class.
Thank you very much for that, Lynn. And this actually is a course in Poland, isn't it, that you went to teach? So you've very much been all around Europe and teaching. And
yeah,
bringing
that looks like one of
places.
the Polish courses. Yes, yeah.
Yeah. Hello, Alina.
Bit of a signature way of teaching a specific move that I have.
Yeah,
we'll go into that at another time.
Moment. I think that's enough to say there.
Yep, that'll do.
And as you mentioned before, you know, the Equine Touch came out of JOCK's human work, and Jo here on the couch on the left, she's the one who's pioneered that in the UK and still heads up the what we call vibromuscular harmonization technique, which I managed to say, and it's a very it's a bit of a mouthful, so we say VHT, and Kate there, one of our UK instructors. So we're going to be hearing from Jo as well, very much a supporter and advocate for VHT and for JOCK, who she met before any of us. And then Canine Touch, Ivana, she brought her knowledge of dogs and anatomy to writing a book about the dogs, didn't she, Lynn? Yes,
that's still available through her website as a download, actually. And the dogs do love it. You know, it is a different thing. She wrote it because obviously dogs and horses are quite different in temperament. The move is exactly the same. The reactions are quite often the same, but of course they're different species altogether. That little chap there must be known as the most used creature to Canine Touch. I used to see him virtually every week as a client, and he even came with me one day. His owner gave permission for him to come on one of the conferences with us.
Ah, but he looks like he's sitting there saying more.
That was Rob Roy. Yes, that was, and he was a really important dog. He did lots of stuff at Crufts. He got lots of rosettes.
Yes. Looks like a show dog. Fantastic. And JOCK, right back at the beginning, you know, you went on tour with him in America, didn't you, where he was bringing ET to a wider audience then, and met a lot of the other significant people at that time.
Yes, and that was how I got my training to become an instructor. Actually, it's a lot more structured today, but that was with traveling and just helping them with courses, really, and that was how I got the training. But he had this amazing ability to look at an audience, as the second picture there, and see that somebody had a stiff neck. And he would ask them to come out, do a couple of tweaks on it, and it would be like walking on water, you know. the neck, oh my goodness, it's gone. Because that's what VHT can do. If you get the right move in the right place, it will release a muscle and all the tension goes. So he was an amazing, he was a very good public speaker, a very good public person.
Yes, yes. And as a Scotsman, still had the Stetson, which of course is one thing that we all expect our chaps around the horse world to have. And then Kathy, do you want to just take us through a little bit about our association here? Thank you.
Yes, so IETA, International Equine Touch Association, set up by members for members, and in a nutshell, that's what it is. We have to be kept on the straight and narrow, so it is the modality regulator, if you like, and that's where all the administration happens and all the records are kept.
Thank you, Liz.
Yes, thank you very much, Liz. Professional development, we've mentioned it covers Equine Touch, the VHT and the CT, and those that are students, practitioners, any aspect, we all need to continue to evolve. So this is the body that keeps us on the straight and narrow to make sure that we're up to date with what we're doing. Support for practitioners and students. There's a huge amount of work goes into that. And part of what we do is encouragement and involvement and getting more people to become members. And organise this conference. I'm coming on to the conferences in a minute, but just to say the picture there is our pictures of our magazine. We're very lucky that we actually have a hard copy magazine that comes out, which I love. Mine came through the letterbox yesterday.
Yes,
and have a copy and actually read it. I mean, we live in a completely digital world now, but it's so nice to have a bit of a magazine in front of you. So we have a magazine that has heaps of information in it. We have e-sign emails that come out. We've had Zoom conferences. Conferences.
Talks.
What are they? Presentation talks that have been going on through COVID, which have kept the members all involved. And this is all part of our membership. So just to say, we get quite a lot with under the IETA umbrella.
Lovely.
Anything to add, Lynn or Chris, on IETA?
Well, I'd just like to mention that the horse there that Ivana's got is my horse, King Arthur, who was a demo for her level, I think it was a 4 she came and did at Heather's Yard in Northumberland. Heather's a wonderful advocate for an ambassador for Equine Touch in this area in the north. So yeah, he's a little bit more grey now, but he loved the attention, certainly. And then you could take us through the events, Kathy. Sorry.
I will. I just wanted to mention the conference, and I know it's the topic for a broadcast, but the conferences, we used to meet in person, last year moved to virtual. We've got our next conference, October 22, still in planning. Members can join free. It's possible that we're actually going to open it up to non-members for a nominal fee. So watch Facebook for that. The area on Facebook to actually go and look at for anything that we've been talking about is in the Equine Touch Addicts Facebook page, which is open to the public. Yeah. So go and have a look there. But the conferences, in one word, I would just say as mind-blowing. We hear from Ivana, as you've been talking about her dissections, and she'll pick up on a topic and expand. We hear from Jo Fernandez about VHT, and last time she was talking about the science of energy medicine. Again, mind-blowing. Foraging, and I had a speaker on foraging and her self-healing. So whatever it is, there's always something for someone, and mind-blowing is how I would describe our conferences. Well, for me anyway.
Yes, no. And the great thing is to get together with people, isn't it? And all jump on the couch, and you just see loads of people lying on couches, desperate to have some work on themselves.
Yes, I can't speak highly enough of our conferences. Onto this slide. So as we have our 25-year celebration underway, this is the kickoff. It's a great time to revisit and get a lot of energy into what we do anyway. So our area coordinators, geographically based, their role is to get informal get-togethers and keep everybody involved, whether it's jumping into a show with a VHT table or doing a demo in front of people. Whatever it is, we've got a whole list of events. Our aim is to do 25 events in our year, which is starting from the 25th of July. And you can see the bunting behind me. We have giveaways in the form of pens and pads, and we've got barbecues, picnics,
cake. That's the most important thing.
Yes. But within that, obviously, we've got Equine Touch demonstrations. We've got some presenters talking on, as you say, the circle of influence. So you're probably gathering I've got a lot of excitement in me about what we're trying to achieve. So come and join us. Check out Facebook, Equine Touch Addicts, and see what's happening near you. There's also some online virtual events to join as well. Yeah, thank you.
Fantastic. and I'm aiming to set myself the target of 25 broadcasts. It may not always be me headlining, or at least doing the backroom work, but 25 over the year. So that's going to be about every 2 weeks with a bit of a gap for Christmas. So it might be dependent on when time shifts with around the world, or obviously during the summer people are a lot more involved with being outside, so we'll just see how that goes. But keep an eye on the Equine Touch Facebook page, and we'll be putting up events and share those things around so that we can, and this is also going to be going onto YouTube. So we've got the YouTube channel, so you can watch. If you haven't managed to, hopefully if you're not here right now, you can direct people to watch it on catch up. It will be on this page and also on YouTube. And then, as Jock says, your horse needs you. So a lovely man, a lovely modality, and it continues on, and long may it carry on. That's what we're here for the next 25 years. Fantastic. So just a quick thing about, we're going to giving prizes, aren't we, Kathy? So let's just have a quick look at that.
So prizes. Prize 1 will be three series of Equine Touch sessions for your horse. So that's prize 1. Prize 2 and 3 are the opportunity to either attend the foundation course for Equine Touch or for VHT. You can head off to the Facebook page, the Equine Touch Addicts, where you'll find a link to enter. All the terms and conditions are available. Have a read of that. And you've got till the closing date, 31st of the 12th, 22. So fantastic opportunity.
Yeah, brilliant, brilliant. So that's us done, really. We've brought a little bit to you from our Equine Touch studio here in the UK this time. So any closing thoughts, Lynn?
There's lots more to come, Chris. There's lots more to come.
Absolutely. We're really looking forward to it. Kathy, thank you very much for your contribution. And I know you're really excited, aren't you? And you might get back into the house eventually. So thank you very much for everybody. Please do put in your ideas if you've got any requests, not for us to sing, please. And yes, thank you very much for joining us. Bye now.
Bye.
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 Bye.